Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend we are looking at gaming YouTubers saying they can't cuss anymore, Ubisoft tells its employees something stupid, and Wizards of the Coast Road Initiative against their own fans. This is a cow's opinion where I, the cow, go over the greatest gaming news that I can find. It is my opinion, so don't get upset about it. It is a moo point. It doesn't matter. And I am still sick. Hang on. I'm going to cough just that once so you can tell I'm still sick and not trying to get sympathy. I went and saw a doctor today. I have just a little lung infection after COVID. It's nothing we really got to worry about, but yeah, it sucks. So, we are going to be taking water breaks. Don't know if you can hear that on my microphone during this, but hopefully you guys won't notice any editing if I have to edit out the heavy cough parts. So first, let's get into this article from Polygon where swearing on YouTube has become a challenge. Now, this past fall, YouTube updated their policy, which restricted what you can and can't say. And now, all swear words are treated equally. Now, under this policy, and I believe it's been more than 7 seconds, but I'm still not going to say it because of the weirdness of this article. Certain light cuss words are no. Oh, well, hell and damn are no longer even. Well, hell, I should have read this damn article better. But basically, the problem with this new policy is videos are demonetized for something as simple as cuss words in the first few seconds. And that is true. You cannot cuss in a YouTube video now in the first 7 seconds of the video. You also can't have that kind of language in your title or on your thumbnail if you decide to put text on the thumbnail. But videos have been demonetized for that and were marked as limited ad revenue. So, Daniel Condren, or RT Game on YouTube, has made a video about his experiences. So, he said that YouTube flagged a compilation video of his best clips from 2022, limiting its ability to generate ad revenue. YouTube marked it as age restricted, meaning only people with age authenticated accounts, which requires a government ID, can view the video. A lot of us don't even bother to set those up. Daniel said this lowers the number of views the video received and makes it harder for him to make money. Understandable. Now, he used the support system to try and, dispute this, saying he doesn't think it should be age restricted like that. And it uses both machines and humans. And basically, if he thinks that the initial strike is a mistake, a real-life person will get a notice to plead. And he has used this successfully. However, this time, after he flagged the issue by asking for help on Twitter, another video was marked as age restricted and several more became demonetized. After a person from YouTube support reviewed the videos, YouTube maintained its position, Daniel explained, as he showed screenshots from the support email. His video about the popular horror game The Quarry now violated the platform's violent and graphic content guidelines, thus making it suitable for age restriction. Other videos were marked for limited monetization due to the new swearing policy. It's generally depressing. Because I asked YouTube for help with restoring my restricted video, I had dozens more limited. I love making videos on YouTube, but this has really shown that any success on the platform can disappear on a whim. At this time, Polygon has not gotten an update for this. And they're saying that content creators are getting really frustrated. It's not just the cussing. It's not that you can apply this policy retroactively. It's the particularities of the policy, because people can swear, and occasional use of profanity will not necessarily make a video unsuitable for advertising. Now, that right there is the problem that the creators are having. Think about what that just said. Occasional use of profanity will not necessarily make a video unsuitable for advertising. It sounds good. It sounds like if I'm playing a horror game and I accidentally cuss because something jumps out and kills me, which can happen even with me and my PG-13 efforts, then I sound fine. But think about how broad that is. The policy does not define occasional use of profanity. How many words can I use? What words can I use? As we saw at the beginning of the article, these two words, which a lot of people consider light cuss words, but still profanities, are not even considered profanities anymore. So, how many times can I cuss? What's occasional? Once every minute? Once every 10 minutes? Is it a percentage of the words on the video? It doesn't explain. The next part is also bad. Will not necessarily. So now you tell me you have a policy that doesn't even have a guideline. What does necessarily mean? I don't know if that means that it will. Is there like 3 strikes on a video? Do I have X number of points on a video? What does necessarily mean? And unsuitable for advertising, again, very, very broad. Which is how big corporations like to make these things. They like to make it broad so that they can go back and just use it as they need to or see fit. But unsuitable for advertising means, I mean, what? We've seen big companies like NBC and World Wrestling Entertainment and others get away with stuff that little content creators on YouTube can't, and they're still marked as advertiser friendly. So this policy, while I have no problem with them saying, look, if you suddenly start cussing every 3 words, we're going to demonetize, or at least age restrict you. I have no problem with that, ladies and gentlemen. That's just fair. You don't want some 12-year-old kid to accidentally go down an X-rated hole or anything on the YouTube search bar. That's fine. But this policy is broad and it does not give any particulars. Now, some creators are testing the limits. YouTube, in a video titled YouTube is Run by Fools, ProZD, who I actually love, notes discrepancies over the persistent lack of moderation for hateful content on the platform, while swearing became increasingly moderated. He has appeared in Polygon's video content in the past. In his video, after passing the 15-second mark, he says, "Thank you, YouTube, you not safe for work donkeys," and later adds, "What a smart policy that wasn't created by a bunch of not safe for work puppies." According to a follow-up video, it has not been demonetized. So basically, he made the video, and after he gave it double the time it needed for the policy, and now it's just, I don't even know. It's immensely frustrating and incentivizes me to continue to plan for a future where YouTube is no longer part of my life. When sudden policy changes can significantly affect your livelihood at the drop of a hat, you realize just how unsustainable this career is in the long run. Now, and that's unfortunately a theme with YouTube, especially video game stuff like me. Poor communication. They make these changes without talking to anybody, without testing it, and then act surprised when people point out obvious flaws. According to Condren from earlier, YouTube didn't give him notice that his videos had been flagged. He found out by sitting at his desk and periodically hitting refresh on his account page, checking for changes in ad revenue status. I put hundreds of hours of my life into this content. I'm really proud of it. It's always been my dream to be an entertainer and do this, and now I'm here watching parts of my livelihood just disappear. No notification, no fanfare. Now, as a result, he's reconsidering his relationship with the platform, and if you are if you are a fan of anyone on YouTube, please support them not just with views. Actually subscribe, share, engage, follow them on social media. It's the best way to make sure you see videos. And they're not wrong. YouTube can be weird when they're changing their algorithms and stuff, guys. So what this means, I don't think that YouTube is intentionally trying to destroy this man's career. I don't think YouTube is intentionally trying to make this man here upset. I think YouTube thought it was doing a great job with and didn't bother to test or check. I mean, YouTube could honestly just put out a poll on Twitter. I've seen them all the time on Twitter. Just, hey, here is our new swearing policy. Yes or no? And in the comments, people will probably point out the obvious flaws that you can fix. But that is it. As always, you can respond down below. Let me know what you think. But we're moving on to Ubisoft, our dumb game corporation of the week. Next up, Ubisoft CEO takes the cake this week for worst CEO because he's put the ball in the court of the staff to reverse the company's fortunes. Now, Ubisoft CEO Guillemot, I believe. I apologize, I cannot pronounce his name. So I might just refer to him as CEO because I don't want to be rude to the man. Has put the onus on the staff to reverse the country's fortunes after a dire financial update. With all of the talk of Microsoft possibly buying Activision Blizzard, it's easy to forget that there are still massive and small game companies constantly releasing new titles and giving you their updates on their financials. Especially as a publicly traded company, you have to tell them how you're doing. But Ubisoft had weaker than expected software sales this holiday season, and in a surprise that shocks no one, delayed Skull and Bones for what seems like the 10th time. It's not quite that bad, but it ain't good. It also canceled another 3 unannounced games, and it canceled several games last year around this time too. And it's going to make 200 million euros. That's euros, which is a little heavier than a dollar, so it's even higher for all of my freedom-loving friends here in America. But love you guys in Europe. You're actually watching more. Through targeted restructuring, divesting some non-core assets, and usual natural attrition. In other words, they're going to get rid of certain people. They're going to get rid of assets that don't really help them make games. And they're not going to replace people as fast when they quit or transfer to another company. Now, Skull and Bones is expected to be released sometime between April 2023 and March 2024. During this period, Ubisoft also wants to release Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar: The Frontiers of Pandora, and yet another announced premium game. Other yet to be announced premium games, which just means they're not free to play, including a large one and free to play titles for some of our biggest brands. Now, Skull and Bones and Avatar were both supposed to be released in 2022, and it's 2023, and that ain't happening. We also have an email from the CEO that Kotaku was nice enough to put. Today, more than ever, I need your full energy and commitment to ensure we get back on the path to success. I am also asking that each of you be careful, especially careful and strategic with your spending and initiatives to ensure we're being as efficient and lean as possible. Not great, but to be expected with the attrition plans that he just said he was going to do. He also urged staff to deliver on what he called the biggest pipeline in Ubisoft history, writing, "The ball is in your court to deliver this lineup on time and at the expected level of quality and show everyone what we are capable of achieving." Slight dick move, sir. Because let's go back to the front, what Kotaku said here, man. They just let you know, divesting some non-core assets may or may not affect game development. It could be that they own real property and real estate that they don't really want and need anymore, and they can sell that for money to help make money and also not have to pay the upkeep. That's fine. I got no problem with it. It's the other things. Targeted restructuring is code name for we're going to collapse some teams and possibly lay some people off. Usual natural attrition is code for we're not going to replace somebody who leaves. This is a lower head count, which makes it harder for staff to do their jobs, which is not cool. The ball is in your court to deliver this lineup on time and at the expected level of quality. Dick move. I'm sorry, but I don't know what the hell you think you're doing or who you think you're fooling. You just told staff there's going to be less of you, and we expect you to still put out the exact same quality. Doing your best isn't enough. You gotta meet my standards. Now, commenting on the financial update, Repub's head of games B2B, Christopher Drang, has claimed that Ubisoft is suffering compared to other big publishers because of its lack of a live service game. Look at the publishers worth billions. It's all about that one title that prints money continuously. GTA Online, FIFA, Call of Duty, Fortnite, etc. It means that Ubisoft is so reliant on having a good release schedule to drive performance. I think that what it's trying to do with Assassin's Creed is the right play. Look, live service is okay. GTA is a lot. He roped a bunch of stuff in. Call of Duty and Fortnite have battle passes, which you can argue about. GTA Online just has downloadable content and you can buy things in game, but you don't have to, actually. In fact, as the game goes on, it becomes easier to earn currency. FIFA is a damn freaking gacha game scam. But he is right about one thing. Ubisoft, over the past several years, has had to delay a lot of games, has not met quality expectations, and Skull and Bones, which got everybody hyped 2-3 years ago, hasn't come close to seeing the light of day. They don't have anything that is just printing money. It's why corporations, love gacha games and live service editions. Yes, we hate them because a lot of them are bad and push out, but man alive, can they print the money. And when you have continuous money coming every single month, you don't have to worry about, well, I'm only releasing 1 or 2 games this year instead of my usual 3 to 4, and how am I going to keep the lights on? I love Super Robot Wars. One of the best things that happens in Super Robot Wars lately is that 30 came out on Steam. We've done videos on it. But I also have to admit, one of the best things that's happened to Super Robot Wars is that their mobile games are coming out, they're high quality, and they're fun. They're only coming out in the Southeast Asian market, but they print money and they take the pressure off of the team so that they don't have to just, oh, we got to release a game now. Who cares if it's not done? 30 was high quality because the stress was off. They know that they have their rent, their lights, and their employees paid with the mobile game. It's okay to put in a good game. Now, the problem with this strategy is if Ubisoft releases a live service or a gacha mobile games and whatnots, and then doesn't use that money to increase the quality. Ubisoft games have been very much mocked, deservedly so, for their lower quality, for all of them starting to look and play the exact same. Ubisoft really needs to get it together. And don't fire people or let them leave and then say, oh, it's on you guys. You got to fix this. We can't schedule. This guy, dick move of the week. I'm sorry, you're an idiot. We're going to move on to our last story, and it's a little different, but it's a big one. Adventurers, roll initiative. For our main story in this episode, Wizards of the Coast has canceled the OGL announcement. There is a follow-up because this took place on Thursday. We've got the follow-up as well. I'm going to get into everything, so just wait until you see both web page stories that I'm looking at where you say, Cal, this has already been done. I know, but I want to cover this first so that I can show you where it's coming from. So if you don't know, Dungeons & Dragons is kind of a big deal. There's Critical Role, obviously, but actually lots of other people playing online. There's companies producing classes, miniatures, new sets of rules, new everything. You can make Dungeons & Dragons whatever you want it to be. You want to do a high concept fantasy game? Yeah, you can do that. You want to play Final Fantasy but just with a Western motif? You can do that too. It's gotten insanely popular. Its first massive and possibly successful movie is coming out next year. It actually looks good. I'm looking forward to it. But Dungeons & Dragons publisher Wizard of the Coast is getting into trouble as they've apparently canceled an announcement on Thursday about their updated open gaming license and are said to be scrambling based on the backlash. Hang on a second. Excuse me. I got a little frog in my throat, like I said. There we go. So if you don't know, the open gaming license is basically the agreement that Dungeons & Dragons allows people to make third-party content with their games. It's one of the things that helps push it because you still get a lot of the core books and fans will still buy the novels, the comic books, watch the movies, play the video games, all kinds of fun stuff. But Wizards of the Coast is in trouble for a reason that we'll go into later because Big Papa Hasbro, which owns them, ain't doing so well in the stock market. And is currently hired by a woman who came from Microsoft who said that Dungeons & Dragons is under monetized. You may have also heard about Wizards of the Coast's other big scandal where they kind of, were being accused of degrading the worth of their magic cards because they were printing so many. They were just trying to get that paper with making their paper more worthless. Now, Hasbro did not respond for this story, but they did respond in the other article that we will look, or at least an official statement is more accurate to say. So the new Open Gaming License 2.0, which they originally called 1.1, was supposed to go on, and it had terrible things in it. First of all, the most blatant, disgusting thing in it was that if I made any kind of third-party content for Dungeons & Dragons, and they liked it, they owned it now. It was an agreement. I don't understand. Lots of YouTubers you may have seen who are lawyers have gone over this and this isn't defendable in court. You can't do this. Even if you sign it, it's not legally. I don't know why they thought this was going to work. They also had some really other disgusting things. The other one I want to touch on is if you make at least $750,000 or $750,000 of money off of Dungeons and Dragons related stuff, you had to report it to Wizards of the Coast, and they wanted percentages that I was seeing as high as 20%. Depending on what you're making, 20% could be your entire profit margin. It might not be feasible for you to make stuff for Dungeons. I mean, like, if I'm writing a rule book, yeah. I mean, if lots of people buy it, I'm good. But if I'm making a miniature, man, I gotta buy the machines, the materials, the quality checks, the employees. 20% may be all I've got as profit after I've paid everybody else. So it was a really disgusting cash grab by that woman from Microsoft. But when D&D personality Ginny D tweeted that people should cancel their D&D Beyond subscription in order to send a clear message to Wizards of the Coast regarding what the fan base thinks of the developments around the updated OGL, the message was widely shown. I mean, people that I know who don't even look anything into Dungeons and Dragons were like, what the hell is going on? It's all over my Twitter. It's all over Reddit. It's all over everywhere. A stream of subscribers turned off payment. So many that it shut down the page because of server errors. So D&D Beyond is their subscription service that allows you to play Dungeons and Dragons. You can use it to keep track of your character sheets. They're coming up with some really actually cool innovations for it. The company is scum right now, but it's not like they don't have good ideas. Where they were showing like you'd be able to play with the miniatures totally online, perfect for people who maybe you got into your D&D group over the pandemic and you don't live in the same place. I've seen Critical Role where Matthew Mercer has demonstrated that the DM can put things into your inventory or take them away also, so that like next time a thief happens to take something from you, you literally don't know until it's gone, and that's kind of cool. So Wizards of the Coast bought it to help improve it and make the money off of it, and it's kind of a big cash cow for Dungeons and Dragons right now. The result of these cancellations and their impact on the bottom line of Wizards of the Coast is not negligible. That is fancy corporate speak for, oh my god, we need this money. We just went over Ubisoft, guys, and how much a live service game bringing in money on a regular basis can make corporations have time, and in theory it should make it better. Dungeons and Dragons getting those monthly or yearly subscriptions says here is, bottom line, the minimum that we're going to make. So we have an idea of what our revenue is. We can take time for quality because the rent is paid this month off of D&D Beyond. And upper management has been scrambling. They even canceled a live stream that was supposed to go on Thursday, although they said it was to update, this was done to update a previously agreed upon schedule. No, it's not. No, it's not. It remains unclear when they will release the hotly anticipated new OGL. We actually have some updates on that in just a second. But they are at a critical point in their fan base, and this much is still true. They have petitions, drives, open letters, third-party publishers like MCDM and Kobold Press, which you may not have ever heard of, but man, I've looked into this, and do these guys drive revenue to Dungeons & Dragons, are rejecting the OGL to make their own systems. If you're the dominant tabletop game, you don't want a new system. You want people playing your system and your game. Paizo, which makes Pathfinder, probably the second largest fantasy dungeon crawling game, announced that it will be pursuing the creation of a new creative license for third-party developers, which will be open, perpetual, and irrevocable, and the biggest FU finger to Hasbro and D&D Beyond. The Wizards of the Coast have fallen. Slay them with your holy swords. Now, let's take a look at this too. Guys, we're looking up because a day later, Dungeons & Dragons open game license was delayed due to all the backlash that we've talked about. So, D&D fans were ready to roll initiative against Hasbro after the company attempted to rewrite its 2-decade-old game license to boost revenue. Hasbro, meanwhile, I want you to look at this. It's at 66 now. It's been as low as 54, but it's been as high over the last 52 weeks of 105. It's dropped almost by half. That's not good for a company to drop almost in half in a year. So I just want you to get that idea of why Hasbro might have done this. And look, this is what happens when you let a bunch of moron lawyers and executives do this kind of thing without checking with anybody. So on Friday, they proposed their update saying that they were going to address the mounting concerns and said that they're still going to make an OGL, but that it will not include a royalty structure or give itself to the intellectual property. The two big things that I said were making everybody upset. So CNBC has got copies of both the 1.1 and the FAQ section for 2.0. Hasbro had sought to require independent publishers and content creators to report financial data directly to them, which included D&D. At a certain threshold, the revised agreement would have forced creators to pay significant fees. Screw you! Dude, the NFL, which popularizes football, does not go around to a bunch of pee-wee leagues that they don't run and say, hey, you're only popular for this, so give us some money. 1.1 had a clause that would give Wizards access to new and original content. 2.0 did not. But fans have rallied around a petition called Open D&D, and it's been signed by 67 people, and began canceling subscriptions to D&D Beyond. To show you how important that is, here's the pricing for D&D Beyond. Subscription Tier 1 price for 6 months. Price 1 Hero is either $2.99, $14.99, or $25.99. And the Master subscription is $5.99, $29.99, or $54.99. Guys, that is not insignificant amounts of money. When I've seen articles that say tens upon tens of thousands of people have already canceled, and more are expected to. Now, Hasbro's been, that's not chump change, you know? That is money out of your pocket, not a even if it's like $100,000, that's not $100,000 gone. That's $100,000 in January, and then February, and then March, and then April. Then every month, you're coming in $100K less. That is $1.2 million a year alone, and that's only if they manage to stop the bleeding, which I don't know if they have. Now, Hasbro has said that they're drafts, and the company always plans to change the text, and it's going to revisit, but that the final version will not recruit the royalty structure or the license back provisions, which again, a lot of lawyers are saying may not even be legal. Third-party publishers told CNBC representatives that Hasbro representatives approached high-profile independent content creators late last year to offer them a sweetheart deal if they signed on before the agreement was launched. 1.1 had a lower royalty rate than what was almost done in 2.0. Guys, that is garbage. Now, literally, they went to people like Critical Role and said, hey, you don't have to pay this huge revenue thing. If you just sign on now and say, yeah, we fully support it, we'll just tell people you're paying it. You can pay a lot less. But think about that two-tiered system is also disgusting. At first blush, it seems like we won, says the editor-in-chief of Mage Hand Press. However, until we can confirm the terms of the license, specifically as it relates to software such as virtual tabletops, it's not clear if this is a smoke screen or a real commitment. Now, this means that Wizards of the Coast has been trying to capitalize on the popularity of Dungeons & Dragons. The game's been out for half a century, but lately it's been getting really big. It's live streamed on Twitch and YouTube. It's in Stranger Things. They got a massive movie. And after, especially with the pandemic, people are just playing more D&D. It's easier to get a group together in their home. If you have a kid, you don't need to get a babysitter for 4 to 5 hours. Just play with your friends. If you still want to play, but you move to another town, hey, the cow can play virtually now. We can still keep him. I think D&D is approaching a very significant inflection point in its lifestyle. No joke. Now, monetizing D&D is very important because with the release of Honor Among Thieves with freaking Chris Pine, as well as a deal with Paramount Plus to stream a television show, and True Blood actor Joe Manganiello, who is really a huge fan, is going to direct a documentary for the 50th anniversary. D&D has never been more popular, and we have really great fans and engagements. Wizards of the Coast president Cynthia Williams, an asshole, and you'll see in just a second, told investors in December. But the brand is really under-monetized. Screw you! This is the woman I told you about. The greedy Microsoft corporate head who desperately wanted to figure out how to squeeze every dollar they could out of people. Now, Wizards also owns Magic the Gathering and had 1.2 billion revenue in 2021. It's only the 15th in 2023. I'm 100% positive we don't have final quotas on how much they made last year. That is 20% of Hasbro's total net revenue. Hasbro also reported that the division generated $986 million through the first 9 months of last year, so it's expected to post third quarters. It's probably going to exceed last year. I don't know by how much, but it's going to. Now, the majority of purchases related to Dungeons & Dragons come from Dungeon Masters, who organize the game, despite the fact that they account for only about 20% of the user base. Now, these are like the source books, the campaign modules, and other stuff, which makes sense. If I'm a player, I only need my character sheet, maybe a subscription to D&D Beyond for that, and maybe I need to buy a figure and some dice. But then I'm good for like an entire campaign, which can take years and years, and maybe I don't need to change all that when I play another character. But if I'm a dungeon master, I'm buying figures, rule books, source books, buying all kinds of stuff. So Wizards wants to use D&D to generate more cash. They bought it for $146.3 million last year because it's honestly just really cool. It's planning to launch an online tabletop space for players for virtual gaming and wants to update and expand its rules. I don't know if I like the expanded rules that they've been doing, but the cow is lonely. He doesn't have any friends who want to play, unfortunately. This investment in digital strategy, says Asshole Williams, will allow Wizards of the Coast to unlock the type of recurrent spending you see in digital games. She literally just said, I want to figure out how to nickel and dime you as much as possible. Not to make the game better. I just want to figure out how to charge you more. Chaotic Neutral. Ooh, this guy knows how to write for Dungeons & Dragons. So the reworking is not unexpected, says NKM. They aren't doing anything that other large companies aren't doing to protect their property. So under the current license, you can make things, and under the game mechanics, its dice rolling system, and its framework to develop their own settings and monsters and magical items at no cost. Companies such as Paizo, Kobold Press, Hit Point Press, and the Griffin Saddlepack, among others, hang on, I'm going to make it, I swear, this is important, have carved out their spot to sell companion books. Now, these creators could not use their intellectual property, any officially Wizards of the Coast character or setting or plot, but they can make their own that uses the same mechanics and don't have to give Hasbro any money. This was a boon because they don't have to develop a new rule set and weren't likely to enter a copyright battle. But with the new update, Hasbro initially looked to see if these sellers generated too much money. So they were saying that those that tallied $50K in revenue would need to report their profits and products, and they would have been required to obtain a creator product badge. Who knows how much that cost? And again, when you got to $750,000, they were going to have a 20% fee. And in OGL 1.1, it was going to be 25%. Now, I don't do this for a living, but 25% is a pretty damn high fee. You're literally going to make people raise prices, or they're just not going to make any money. Now, what struck me as unusual in this agreement is that the numbers spoken of are revenue, meaning gross, not net. More disgusting, said Noah Downs, a partner at Pre-Mac Rogers Law Firm and an intellectual property attorney. This means that content creators would have been charged the fee based on how much they got in revenue and not their profit. Now, obviously, the community balked because most of the third-party creators use crowdfunding websites, and those have fees. 7% to Kickstarter, 8% Patreon, 20% for Roll20 will need to be paid in addition to the licensing fee if it ever got above the $750. Every Kickstarter campaign into a coin flip. If you do too well, it collapses. Bonus action. This guy writes really well. So Holic started #OpenDND, a website to rally fans and oppose Hasbro's alterations. Downs is Holic's attorney and also acts as a legal and media representative for the campaign. Now, they've been trying to get them to completely retract, and prior to this, both Downs and Holic told CNBC that taxing third-party content creators and snatching up their intellectual property would destroy the community. It's bizarre what Wizards is doing, said Holic. Either they don't understand the market that they're dealing with, which is horrifying in its own right, or they're intentionally trying to salt the earth and get rid of the third-party space. I would say it's probably intentionally trying to get rid of the third-party space. If they can make you only use their website, their products, they get all the money. This woman, this terrible woman who's in charge now, has told you openly, I want to figure out how to get more money out of people. I don't think our fans pay us enough money. Then produce more stuff, okay? Don't be a dick. Now, they address these concerns by, that's just the, legacy races and stuff. But I've gone over that stuff before. I want to focus more on the revenue, guys. So Hasbro says it's going to create a new OGL to prevent D&D content from being used in hateful and discriminatory products and to prevent people from using it in blockchain games and NFTs. No, they're not. That's just their reasoning. The license-back language was intended to protect us and our partners from creators who incorrectly allege that we steal their work simply because of coincidental similarities. As we continue to invest in the game that we love and move forward with partnerships in film, television, and digital games, that risk is too great. The company says new L1 open gaming license will contain provisions, but will be done without the license back clause. Your ideas and imagination of what the game makes special, and that belongs to you. Apparently not, because you want to take it. Now, the backtracking is quelled it somewhat, but I think that fans are really upset, and as we've also discussed, Pathfinder is saying, look, we want to... And they're inviting other third parties to help them make an open gaming license that nobody will own. They want to have a non-profit manage it. And I think that's cool. Because maybe Wizards of the Coast got too big for their britches, and now we can't trust them. Wizards of the Coast has disintegrated decades of trust in days, and the community will approach every move with skepticism from here on out, says Hollick. Additionally, he knows the company's attempts to change the open game license shows doesn't actually recognize the product in D&D is the story. If you try to take someone's story from them, they will fight you tooth and nail, and that's what Wizards is finding out. Somebody make a third-party content where you actually have to fight Wizards of the Coast. Not the company, but like a band of wicked wizards who happen to live on the coast. I would play that. I would get a group together and we would play that. But that is your gaming news. It's been a bit of a long one because I was still coughing a lot, which you probably heard on this a little bit. I edited out most of the coughs. I couldn't put this out. I would usually try to put it out like Friday and Sunday and split it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Play more games because games are awesome and you deserve awesome and not to be nickeled and dimed by evil Microsoft asshole woman. I'll see you next time.